You're listening to Undeniably African, and we are now about to begin our Undeniably African book club, where today we welcome Queen Tsonga Mukololo, writer, poet, artistic therapist, and owner of Tsonga Mukololo Publishing House. Queen, welcome to Undeniably African.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you all for listening and tuning in too.
Well, it's both a blessing and an honor to have you. I know you've been doing a lot of work. You've been very busy.
Yes.
And I know you're actually based in Gweri, so
Yes.
we're super blessed to have you with us today. So first of all, before we start, first things first, we just want to thank you and acknowledge the contribution that you're doing to this word literary
Literal arts.
all right, there we go. Well, the work, the contribution to the work that you're doing to literal arts, because I know that every generation has got a role to play in cultivating and shifting narratives, but most importantly, in actually articulating what the essence of their generation at that time is.
Yes.
So we really acknowledge and appreciate the work you are
Thank
doing.
so much.
So fantastic. So Queen, tell us a little bit more about your background. Where are you from?
Okay.
And how did you get into this marvelous gifting?
Okay. So initially, before I published the first book,
Right.
it was actually a suicide letter
Wow.
to my parents.
Okay.
But then I met someone who helped me to see that, can you see everything that you've been through and the strength that you possess?
Wow.
Now imagine all the other people out there in the world who might be going through similar things, and if you could share this, imagine the impact it would have. People would know that no, we do possess the strength, as women especially.
Right.
So then that's when I studied psychology at the Midland State University.
Okay.
So that's where I learned about artistic therapy.
Right.
So I combined what I'd learned in psychology with the writing that I was doing, and I came up with Conversations with the Gods, which is my first publication.
Fantastic. And this is the book for those of you who would like to see. This is Conversations with the Gods. That's so beautiful. And, you know, it's, when we talk about mental health,
Yes.
this is something that is actually at a critical stage,
Right now.
not
yes.
just, in Zimbabwe, but all over the world. And for you to say, you know what, I experienced depression and tried to commit suicide.
Yes.
Now you're turning your pain into passion
Into
and
passion,
kaching.
Yes. That's very true.
So that's exciting. So what, when you're writing Conversations with God,
Yes.
what sort of writing process did you go through? And also for those of you that are joining us for the first time on Undeniably African, each time we have a guest in studio, we ask them to choose the songs that make up the soundtrack of not only their work or their life. And you chose the late, great Queen Chiwone Somaraire's Ancient Voices.
Yes.
How significant was that song in your journey or in this actual book?
Okay. So like I've highlighted before, I had to be strong. I needed to be strong. Now I love that entire album, but that particular song, you have to be brave, you have to be strong. Despite everything else you've gone through in life, you just have to find it in you, like the inner strength within you to say, yes, this might have happened, yes, I might have gone through this, but I am strong. So I'm going to take that and put it in writing and make sure that this strength is not just in writing, but I make it a spear. Poetry, I always say poetry is my spear, and I'm
Yes.
shielding myself with it, and I'm equipping myself with it, but I also want to equip other women with it so that they
Yes.
may find the strength within themselves.
I love
as well.
that. So Queen, what are you going to share with us from Conversations with God? I know when we met yesterday, so Queen Tsonga and I met yesterday at the 3rd year anniversary of Up in Smoke Poetry Corner, and this is a column which is within our sister publication, The Standard. And when we met yesterday, you said, your work, and particularly this book, is a bit controversial.
Yes.
So we want to hear what's so controversial. What page are you reading from so that I can follow with you as well?
Okay, let's start with page 16.
Page 16.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Verbally violent.
Verbally violent.
Yes.
Oh, Queen, take it away.
Okay. They tell me, woman, to be quiet. Your tongue is too venomous, they say. I guess that is why in their books we were labeled as those who conversed with snakes. They say, my tongue is too vulgar, hence the need to have it censored. Like I am some movie rated PG for speaking up about our truths. And I am left wondering, where was the very same patriarchal guidance which let such an atrocity happen to me and my fellow sisters? They say the fervor in my speech is too begrudging to not start a revolution. So they've given me the podium and disconnected the microphone. Do they know the monstrosities these devils have put us through? I've conversed with the gods. And they've made my voice louder than the Krakatoa. So let them keep their microphones. My words will still be heard by the masses. I am vulgar and disrespectful. After all they've put us through, they're lucky. I am only verbally violent.
Oh, yeah. They sure are lucky though.
They're lucky I'm only verbally violent.
And the thing is, it's a deliberate thing for you to focus on empowering women to develop their spirits,
yes,
and to sharpen
them
them as well. So I know that you started off writing as a suicide letter to your parents.
Yes.
Before that, is there anyone in your family that has a creative background? What was your first encounter with words?
With words, okay. My dad is a writer actually, and my mom is an editor. She's actually the editor-in-chief for Tsonga Mukololo publication house.
Wow.
So I think it's in the family.
It really is.
It runs in the genes, so yes. Dad always used to recite poems for us when we were younger, my brother and I, because it's just the two of us.
Okay.
So that's when I fell in love with poetry at a very, very young age. So it's always been something I'm used to, and then I studied literature because of it, because I love reading and writing and all of that.
Right.
So eventually I ended up coming up with this.
And here we are. So Queen, you also talk about you are an artistic therapist.
Yes.
What does that entail?
Okay, so like I'd said before, that this was initially a suicide note.
Right.
So I realized that when you write, it kind of heals, putting it in words and letting it all out, because sometimes people have a hard time going to see a psychologist or a counselor or a therapist.
Sure.
And having that conversation, because you don't know how the next person you talk to will judge you, how they'll react to whatever it is that you've been through. And then I realized it was because I had sought out counseling before,
right,
to try and deal with my depression and my anxiety and all of that, but talking to someone was not something that I was really comfortable with.
Of course.
Yes. So whilst I was studying psychology as well, that's when I realized if I could put this in paper, maybe that could help. So I tried it, and I found that my anger, my aggression, my anxiety also lessened as I did that. So eventually it ended up helping me cope. And then I realized also that as I wrote and shared my work, most people would come up to me and say, you know, I've experienced something similar to this, and through your words I found, you know, I can go on and maybe counsel people as well. So this is actually a good way to start the conversation with some people, because sometimes you don't know how to break the ice about some of these issues.
That's true. It's difficult to break the ice in conversations like that. And I'm always saying, it's not a conversation that, you know, you can have with someone and say, well, here's, you know, can you pass me the bread?
That's true.
I feel like killing myself. But Queen, another thing, yesterday the conversation at the third year anniversary celebrations was enhancing literal appreciation through creative writing and performance. What do you think we're doing well, and what do you think we need to improve on?
Okay, so that on its own, I think Up in Smoke was a great initiative. That was really, really beautiful. And I think what we need to do is make sure that we get, because I found out that there are a lot of people who write, but they don't know which channels to use to get their work out there.
Right.
They don't know which publishing houses to approach, which agents to approach, just to get their words heard and all of that. And I think there's this disconnect in the arts world whereby people think music should be a standalone and poetry should be a standalone, but in essence it's all art. So imagine how impactful it would be if we could combine everything together, and how much more people would reach if we could infuse all of those things together.
And also, Queen, you also apologies, we're just trying to reconnect. You seem to have lost our Facebook Live.
Okay.
We're reconnecting. Okay, well, testing. We're there. But yes, when we come back, we want to just have a conversation with you around, as writers, like you said, people don't have, or they don't know which avenues to go.
Yes.
What sort of guidance you can give somebody who wants to actually get published. And what that entails. But we're gonna go to our comment section and hear what your increasing fan base is saying. So we've got
That's
King
fine.
Emmanuel Nyakonda. He's saying afternoon from United Kingdom. He says, wow, after you recited your piece, King, thank you so much for joining us. Yo, Kaito is always a regular queen.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. He says, hello and beautiful. Efi Gamu, hello, where are you listening to us from? And we're going to go into a very quick but short musical interlude, and this is Akua Naru, and the song is The Journey. What's the story behind this song?
The journey. Oh my! So this has been my journey. Like when I was writing this book, this was one of the albums I also listened to.
Right.
So the journey was set aflame within me because of all the things that had been done to me. So everything combined set the journey aflame, and then I started this journey of writing and creating.
Wow. Sounds beautiful. Well, coming up next is Akua Naru, and this is The Journey. You're listening to the Undeniably African Book Club, and with us in studio is writer, poet, artistic therapist, and owner of Tsonga Mukololo Publishing House, Queen Tsonga Mukololo. Would you get and do?
I love
this. Would you do hip hop?
I honestly want to try, but I haven't found my sound.
Well, welcome back to Undeniably African. We have to switch that up so that we can get back and focus and talk with our Queen Tsonga Mukololo, writer, poet, artistic therapist, and owner of Tsonga Mukololo Publishing House, who's with us in studio for the Undeniably African Book Club. And Queen, we have a comment from King Donald Dodger ZW Marindire. Shout out to you, King. And he says, listening from Harare, quite keen to hear about how one gets to publish an artistic work in Zimbabwe. So as Tsonga Mukololo Publishing House, what do you look for in terms of the work that you select to publish, and what does that entail?
All right, so we started this year in March, last year actually, with the Conversations with the Gods, but it became established this year.
Okay.
So now we've only done books for women so far, because I'm all about empowering women and getting stories for, by, and from women out there into the world so that they can empower themselves and find their voices as well. But we also accept stories and manuscripts from everyone else, whatever genre it is. As long as we feel like we can work with it, then we definitely will work with it.
Right.
Yes.
So publishing, does that also entail the marketing, the PR aspect of everything?
Of everything,
Fantastic.
exactly.
Fantastic. Also, shout out to Kim Sung Tao, Wananyasha John, nice one. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, can you tell us a little bit about the collections of poems? What is it called? One poem.
The collected poems of Zimbabwe. This was inspired by the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
Sure.
So I wanted to collect poems from various poets in Zimbabwe, to appreciate and thank women, because I found women have been through so many things, but we rarely, if ever, appreciate them. So maybe we have 16 days of activism and that's it. Oopsie, sorry. So we probably have 16 days of activism and that's it. But I wanted something that could go on, something that's long lasting. And I found that words and poetry are long lasting. So through this, we tried to collect as many poems as we could. We have the second one also coming out, which is one poem, the collected poems and short stories of Africa, because we found out whilst we were marketing this book that we've got sisters and brothers from Zambia, from Kenya, from South Africa, who'd also like to be a part of it. So we're still collecting for that up until the 31st of May, and we're going to be launching both books, the collected poems of Zimbabwe and the collected poems and short stories of Africa, on the 27th of July.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
So you're going to share your piece.
My piece, okay.
What page is that, so I can read it along with you as well?
I'll have to start with the dedication piece, which is also my piece, before I go. Okay.
Fantastic.
So my piece is on the last page. You could hold that. That's page 60.
Page 60.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
All right. This is the last of our kind. I am consumed with questions. I do not even know why I was a victim in the first place. So I have journeyed through life with my shadow, fear, never leaving my side. I am afraid to stand out. What if I stand out and that makes me a target again? What if I excel and I become seen? What if they decide to teach me a lesson for it again? What if I leave and someone assumes that I'm asking for something? What if they decide to give it to me again? I want to be free. Free of fear and anger. I want to live happily and peacefully. I want to breathe and not be afraid that my breath may awaken devils who will hurt me and rob me of my peace and happiness, then leave me angry and afraid until I do not want to take another breath. I am strong. I had to be, for I am my sister's keeper. I am poetry, and I am the shield for all women. I have searched the windows of their souls. I am not the last of my kind. My words cut deep, for they have been carved of titanium. These poems are my spear. Let all women acculturate themselves with it. For our children and their children's children, let us stand together and speak up so that we may become the last of our kind. And then my piece is on page 60. That's
before we get to your piece,
okay.
I'm just going to go to a very quick
Okay.
commercial break because this is your last piece. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to rush you out.
It's okay.
Oh, we're still watching. And we are back to Undeniably African, and we're just about to say goodbye to our queen. But before she goes, we would love for her to recite one last piece, and then we'll hear about what other exciting work you have in store and how people can get in touch with you, queen.
Okay. So this is Forgive Me. Forgive me, woman, I have greatly disgraced you. Sought the strength of a woman from the world. How could I truly disgrace you so? Woman, you are strength. Knocking on the door of mortality to bring forth life, bones to soul crack, window open, new world, earth, soul begin to live in, cruel world, people, soul began to learn that. Was for you, was for I, all because we are women. Remember where you've been. No more tears for all our sisters. To all our sisters, rest in peace. To you, my sisters, be a sister's hero. They call me daughter of Chimamanda. Feminist, they label me. They understand not that I know fear. Live in fear of the reasons you're not here. Society turning a blind eye to your blue eye. Slip in the open, nightmares burn memory to the soul, till I am left drowning in rivers of sweat. Forgive me, woman, I failed to set you free. I have never been locked up, but I know what it's like to be a prisoner. Every prison cell has cells. Every prison has cells. Born a woman, these are ours. Internalized anxiety attacks, racing heartbeat, dry mouth, forced laughter, fake smiles, stutter-filled speeches, constantly short of breath. Feel the wave of isolated depression rise. Forgive me, woman. I am sorry for telling our secrets, but I am tired of singing the same old song. Your stories be guarded, but let the truth be known. Forgive me for being so vulgar and crude. That which they stole had to be the opening statement. Forgive me, woman. I forgot to remind you of your strength, lasting longer than beauty and stands. Wars lost, battles won. Still, you stand. Silver we have not. Poetry be all we bear, and with it we give thee praise.
Amen. And with it, we give thee praise. This is so beautiful, queen. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing a part of you. And I mean, the thing is, it's like with poets, you're sharing off a part of you in each piece you write.
Each piece that I write, exactly.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Again, King Donald says, how does one submit for the collected pieces of Africa Anthology.
Anthology, okay.
Sure.
So you can send them through to my email, which is tsongamukololo@gmail.com, or you can get in touch with me via WhatsApp on 0773 281 331, and then we can discuss.
Fantastic. Queen, before we go,
Yes.
who has been your inspiration? Or who did you look up to and like, oh, I want to get there? What's the past, what they have done?
In terms of writing?
Yes.
In
In terms of writing and also spoken word.
spoken word.
Mm.
Well, like I said, I grew up watching
Your parents.
my
your
parents
dad.
and especially my dad. So he also has a piece in one poem.
Uh-huh.
So I've always been like, because he's the greatest poet I know, because it was him who inspired me.
Of course.
But every time he submits something to me, I'm always like, I don't think I'll ever get there. But then he'll be like, no, but your work is good. But I feel like I could never measure up, you know.
Right.
But he's like, you know what? You're the apple that never fell from the tree. So trust
Wow.
me, your work is as beautiful as mine.
That's
so,
beautiful.
yeah.
Shout out to you that. So you, as always, you cannot come on radio and especially to this show and not give any shout outs. Who would you like to send some shout outs to today?
Some shout out. Okay, so firstly, my husband, Dumabina, and then my parents, of course, and to the poets who submitted poems for the one poem,
Sure.
Collected Poems of Zimbabwe. Thank you all so much for hearing the call and sending through pieces, especially to Amy Spitfire, because she's the one who encouraged me and said, you know what, you've got this, and people will respond.
Where is Amy Spitfire?
She's
based
here in
in
Canada.
Canada?
Yes, she is.
So Amy, this is a public service announcement. We need you on this show. We need you on the show. And I'm just going to give you a little teaser of what her poem is in one poem. Her name is Amy Chauke. She said it's all because of these ovaries. Oh my gosh, I didn't recite that.
Exactly.
I
That
need her
title.
to do justice to this poem. But thank you again for everybody that joined us today for our Undeniably African Book Club. We come to the end of today's show, but coming up next from 1 o'clock is Coach Barbara Mutezi, and today we're going to be talking around how can we use our life purpose to unpack the small things, the day-to-day things and routines, because excellence essentially is a habit that you develop day by day by day. But thank you so much. And we see King Stephen Magama, who's just joined us. And before we go, we're going to get into our IAC, which is our iconic African throwback. So I know, Queen, that you represent the city of kings and queens.
Yes.
Maybe you might be familiar with this genre, but this is our iconic
okay,
African
right.
throwback for today. We'll be back right after this.